If that's all right, Andy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
And I think we're live, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a drill. Please do not swear.
As long as I don't have to pay you too much for your training fees, Andy.
No, for you, I'll do it for free.
Hey,
sorry,
No,
I'll
hang
take
on.
that
He's just
back.
run the premium bronze. Take that one back straight away.
I won't charge you, but you'll have to cover my bar bill for the evening.
that's easily doable.
No. You haven't met Andy, right? Just like
And we're not going to some. We're not going to
Weatherspoons. Yeah.
Not spoons.
No, we're going somewhere spenny, mate. It's going to cost you a fortune.
Oh no!
Maybe just pay for a sim session, Carlos. That might be more sensible.
I know. I think this Christmas. I think for Christmas this year, I'm going to just when the usual kind of mother and father-in-law, mum, dad, and everyone else says, "What do you want for Christmas this year?" I'm just going to say, just put loads of money in a pot. And then I'll spend it all on a sim session with Andy.
Right. Okay.
I can't generally think of much better things to spend your money on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know you can, but for me,
yeah.
it's the perfect spend of money.
Well, I mean, it must have been such a different experience being in a like.
It's honestly, it is incredible the way that thing makes you feel when you're in. Because you don't expect to feel pushed back in your seat when you push your throttles forward, because it's amazing how it gets that feeling when you fly in a sim. Obviously,
presumably, in order to get the feel of acceleration, Andy, the sim is canted upwards.
Yeah, it tilts back.
Yeah, which you don't fully realise at the time, but it's just the feeling that you get being pushed back in the seat, isn't it?
And then what it does is it just very slowly, so your inner ear doesn't notice it, go back to level.
Yeah.
And then when you rotate, it lifts up. And again, if you continue to climb, it just brings you back to level, so that when you push the level off or pull back more, you get the sensation. Dead clever.
So good. I'd have to win the Euro Millions to be able to actually buy one, wouldn't I?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
the cost of running it and somewhere to house it.
Oh, the housing bit would be fine. I'd easily find somewhere to house it.
Right.
And you need some three-phase electricity and.
You need your own
stuff like that.
substation.
Yes.
You need your own engineers to look after it.
A whole team. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So you can't just like have it installed and then just play with it when you want?
Not sure that's how it works.
Damn.
What happens when you've got this thing in an isolated barn in the middle of Norfolk? You're in it, and then the bridge won't come down.
I mean, I think that would be hilarious for the rest of us.
It would, yes, it would.
It would be like a really poor version of the Krypton Factor.
Ooh.
Do you remember that? They had,
yeah.
I think it was, they used the British Midland
Do you remember the Krypton Factor? What's wrong with
737-300.
They did. Yes,
Yep.
that's right. They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't
And
it?
they also did the ones in the Sea King helicopter as well, which looks terrifying.
They did, didn't they?
And it was
forgotten
a
about that.
black display with like green lines everywhere for the carries.
Oh.
Right. So Rhino's.
So, hello, chat room. Good to see everyone in there. Put your hands up. Who's coming to the meetup on Saturday? Hopefully, you're all coming. I know one person in the chat room is making quite the journey to join us on Saturday for the meetup at Beccles. Sturman, I hope you're coming. No excuses, Sturman. You are very local. Tanya's put her hand up. I didn't realise you could put your hand up symbol. That's quite good.
Oh, here we go. Oh, you've set him off now.
Oh. Where's that on here?
I don't know.
It's probably on an Apple device, which you don't understand or like.
Oh, here we go.
You mean a quality device? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Yes. Got a really special video a couple of really good videos to share with you tonight, but one that we're particularly proud of, and hopefully the person we were talking to will be in the chat room later. Looking forward to sharing that with everyone. It's quite special, isn't it, Nev?
Yeah, no, did some nice stuff down there on Friday when we shot it, and also the weather was nice as well.
It really was.
That helped.
Yeah.
Had it been the weather that we've got today here, it'd been a different story, wouldn't it?
It'd been a lot less fun.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Oh, Sturman's coming. Good. Correct answer, Sturman.
Yeah.
Very good. I should be bringing the camera and the muff to do various interviews, so expect to be irritated by me if you're coming.
Expect muff in face, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, John Jester's joining us on Saturday as well.
Yes, yeah.
I'm just firing up the VMix socials, Nev, if you want to...
Oh, roger that, yeah.
Oh, hang on.
And all being well, hopefully Captain Al will be joining us on Saturday.
Yes, I think that's weather dependent, really.
Very weather dependent,
I imagine
It's
so,
not
yes.
looking brilliant, I have to say.
Let me have a look at the METARs.
Who's flying from Liverpool?
So Liverpool.
Okay. That should be up and running, Nev, now.
It is.
Liverpool. Let's have a look at the airport. Saturday.
There we are.
Oh. Cloud and increasing wind. Possible occasional shower in the afternoon. Cloud base. Oh,
Evening,
okay.
Ant, by the way. Hope you're well. All right, where did the clock... hang on. I put it on the wrong thing. Try that.
Beckles.
So, watching the old clock. I'm just making sure my show finishes okay, so apologies for the background noise.
Dry on dry Saturday, Nev.
Oh, good.
We don't mind dry.
Sun,
we could do the weather
high
being...
clouds.
Could do with the weather being friendly as well.
Yeah, it's so far so good for Saturday at Beckles. So
Okay.
if the weather's good, obviously the caravan will be up in the air.
Oh, God, that'll spoil everything then. Who flies that now? It's not...
It
Stuart
is,
anymore, is it?
I think it's some guy called Craig, I think it is, who flies it now.
Okay.
Although Stuart did come down last weekend and fly it.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, he'd done some flying in it, and then he had to go and take it to Cranfield to have its
Annual.
little checkup.
Yeah.
Because he came over here last weekend, and I thought, why is the caravan flying over here at literally 1,000 feet ish, not even that, doing really weird banks and turns? And then he rang me the following day to say, "Oh, did you see me?" I was like, "Yeah, I did see you. Yeah, Stu. Yeah, couldn't miss you. I could virtually wave at you in the bleeding flight deck. You were that low." Yeah, it's always a bit worrying when you see the caravan doing weird manoeuvres,
Especially
over
when
the
it's supposed to be
village.
over Beckles.
Yes, exactly. Yes, yeah.
That would worry me too.
But he is a hell of a pilot, is our Stuart.
Helicopter pilot as well, of course.
He flies those weird things.
Those things made at Hogwarts, right?
Yeah, those weird, strange beasts that fly. Right, good show, everyone. Let's do this.
Good luck, everyone. Here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 566 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show we discuss the Robinson R44 helicopter accident on the Isle of Wight. Korean Air strikes a £37 billion deal to buy over 100 Boeing aircraft, and Qantas is to prevent pilots having beards over safety concerns. Oh dear. In the military, SAAB has received the Gripen Type E and F order from Thailand, and the USAF, US Air Force picks the Red 6 Augmented Reality System to train F-16 pilots against virtual enemies. Also in the show this week, Matt and Nev visit Shoreham on the south coast of England on the 10th year anniversary of the airshow accident. Matt speaks with Jonathan Warner, who was on the roadside on the day the Hawker Hunter crashed, and it is quite a harrowing account. Our intrepid reporter, Captain Al, brings us yet another one of his interviews from Oshkosh 2025, and this time we've let him loose to discuss a commercial airliner, the MD, or the McDonnell Douglas DC-8. In fact, the last one that was on the US register. Well, at least it's not grey. So, joining me this week over in the PTUK Master Suite Studios is, of course, our connoisseur of all things slidey, buttons and push things. It's Matt Smith.
I deny everything. Can't prove a thing. Hello, you're right.
Hello.
Hello, you're right.
Another week gone. Another Wednesday we're here. We're all here.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, a good turnout tonight, though, I'm pleased to say.
Yes, good to see everyone in the chat room. Yes, it's always good, but no. Busy week for Mr. Smith, as always, no doubt.
Yeah, lots of sort of radio and stuff. The move is finally happening, so that's all quite exciting. Lots of things going on there. Lots of training. We're trying to get new presenters and stuff online and that. So yeah, and somewhere in there, I'm sandwiching the actual day job as well, which is nice. So
good.
Yeah, keeping me very busy. They are very busy indeed.
And also joining us from across the fields, the sunny fields, although I think it's slightly darker now. There could be some rain on the way. It is, of course, our resident BA Seat 1A man. It's Neville Bounds.
Yes, hello everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. The weather has deteriorated somewhat, but I'm not too worried about that because the garden could do with some water. So a bit of rain today was very welcome, I must say. And another week has gone by. And more importantly, yesterday was pension payday.
Ah, right.
So that means I can function for another month. So no, these things are important. When you know.
No, they are. No, quite.
When you've got a real income coming in.
I know. And we made you leave the Shire last week as well. I mean, it's all a bit much, yeah.
Absolutely.
The homestead, yeah, absolutely.
Mrs. Nev is looking forward to the fresh bunch of flowers then you'll be getting her this weekend.
That's right, exactly. And
I think she'll probably settle for a little jolly out of the country perhaps instead.
Yes, well, we're planning on that next week. We'll talk about that a bit later on. But no, quite a busy week with doing things. I must say I'm finding plenty of things to do in my retirement. I'm not bored in the slightest. So, yeah, great to be back on the show, and it's going to be a good one this week. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also joining us this week, our man who knows all the things about Airbus A320s, especially how to train young pilots how to fly them, like me and Neville Bounds, is, of course, Captain Andy.
Hello. It's nice to be back. Been missing again for a few weeks, but I'm here. Looking forward to the show. It's nice to see you all.
How are things, Andy? You been doing any flying at all, apart from in the sim?
No, I'm too busy. It's that time of year, getting the next recurrent sim ready. So I'm in my hotel studio in my usual place, spending a lot of time in a dark box. But it's all good fun.
It's a very cool dark box, though.
It's a very cool dark box.
Yeah, it is. It's good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, Carlos is literally. Yeah, I've never seen him so happy. If you
honestly.
like, with his little tail wagging.
The amount of times I've been speaking to people, I've gone, "Oh yeah, this is what I done the other week," and I've gone on my phone, video.
Okay.
Yeah, done that. Flew in
right,
that. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
right, okay. I mean, I won't say do you get sick of it, Andy, but it's just a job for you, isn't it? This is the thing. Say Carlos is losing his mind over such an exciting experience, but I mean, this is just the day job, isn't it?
It doesn't lose its magic, though. It's still flying. It's still doing what I love doing. I wouldn't class it as a job. I get paid to do what I enjoy doing. You can't beat that.
Yeah, definitely highly recommended on that one.
Sturman in the chat room, Andy says, Andy, stealthily making an entrance. Great to see you.
No, that's I was just keeping quiet in the background out of the way. That's what it was.
Couldn't get
Very
a word
unlike
in.
me.
Yeah, I can say couldn't get a word in edgeways. I think that's more the reality.
Yeah. But no, all the team is here. It's always good when all the team are together. And also, it's also good when all the chat room are there. And this week, we are kicking off things at the top of the chat room list with Mazouz. He was in there first thing. Well done, Mazouz. We've got Captain Cruz. Hello to you as well. He says, hello, P2UK aficionados. I do like that. We have got Richard Adams. Evening all with a pint in hand. Always good there. Well done. John Jester. Hello, John. Looking forward to seeing you on Saturday, John. I'm going to be grabbing you from Norwich Airport nice and early. Darren Smith, hello to you as well. Good in there. He says he wasn't first in the chat room, but he'll settle for 5th place. Okay. Also, another person joining us at the meetup this Saturday is, of course, someone who's flying from very far away. It's Tanya. Hello, Tanya. Good to see you as well in the chat room. Jason Trussell. Hello to you. Great to see you in there. Hobby Time. Hello to you. Sturman. He's also coming to join us this Saturday at the meetup as well. Good to see you in there, Sturman. Well, we got me scroll. Make sure I don't miss anyone. Ant Flynn. Hello, Ant. Good to see you in the chat room as well this evening. Mr. Warner. Jonathan Warner's in there. Says good evening, P2UK land. Masha. Hello, Masha. Lovely to see you in the chat room. Got her sunglasses on as well. She must have some better weather her side of the world. John Falk. Hello from Jersey this time. Hello, John. Great to see you in the chat room. And thanks, everyone, for joining us for tonight's show. Don't forget, if you're listening to this as an audio show, we're live on a Wednesday night here, 7 o'clock on YouTube. And if you find us, which you hopefully will be able to, Plain Talking UK, subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when we are live recording brand new shows like we are right now. So, loads to get through in the show this week, including that incredible video that Nev and Matt put together for you all this week. Very, very nice video indeed. And well done to you guys for that as well for later. That's coming up later. Also, we've got a double bubble retro airline ad of the week as well. 2 back-to-back retro airline ads this week. But we've got loads of news to get through. So if all the team's ready.
Yeah.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
First story this week comes from countrypress.co.uk. And the Isle of Wight helicopter crash, you may have seen this on social media and on the news as well. Near Shanklin leaves 3 dead. So 3 people sadly have died in a helicopter crash on the Isle of Wight. The 4 people were on board, with 1 person currently still in hospital in a serious condition, says the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary. Emergency services were called to the scene of the A3020 Shanklin Road near Shanklin at 9:24 a.m. on Monday this week. The aircraft reportedly came down and crashed into a hedge in a remote area, and the accident location is 3 kilometres southwest of the departure airport of Sandown Airport, which is Echo Golf Hotel November. An eyewitness who was first on the scene said she saw the helicopter spiralling out of control while she was driving along the A3020 between Whitley Bank and Shanklin. The aircraft involved in the accident was a Robinson R44 Clipper 2, registration Golf Oscar Charlie Lima Victor, owned by Adventure 001 Limited and operated by Northumbria Helicopters Limited based in Newcastle. A spokesman for the operator, Northumbria Helicopters, previously said the helicopter in question, the Robinson R44, had departed from Sandown Airport at approximately 9 o'clock in the morning, British Standard Time, on Monday. It said the aircraft was carrying 4 passengers on board, including the pilot, and was undertaking a flying lesson. One person was airlifted to the Major Trauma Centre at the University Hospital, Southampton, Hampshire, and Isle of Wight Constabulary said. A spokesperson added yesterday evening that they are continuing to work alongside the AAIB, or the Air Accident Investigation Branch, and the coroner to establish the full circumstances surrounding this incident. Activity at the crash site is expected to be completed by the end of Wednesday, that's today, the 27th of August, and the AAIB have deployed a team to the Isle of Wight to conduct on-scene investigations and recovery. It does seem to me that there seems to be a large number of these helicopters having incidents, these R44s. Now, there's been a lot of speculation online as to what happened here. And one of the most popular ones, I don't know if you guys have seen, is the where the rotors come down and kind of clip the tail off, obviously making which would make the helicopter spin, which is what the person saw who apparently saw the incident happen. But yeah, thoughts, guys?
Yeah, it's very tragic, isn't it? And obviously our listener, Richard Adams, is a resident of the Isle of Wight. So he and I have been backwards and forwards on the WhatsApp this week, sort of trying to piece together what's happened here. Very little information, and it's an absolute tragedy that there's been 3 fatalities here. Thank goodness that the 4th person who is in hospital looks as though they're going to be okay, albeit with some serious injuries, but they're probably out of danger by the sounds of things. Yeah, I just think we're going to have to wait for an interim AAIB report about this. A desperate situation for the families, isn't it? And of course, if you think that there's been 3 fatalities, every one of them has a large number of relatives and friends, so it affects so many people.
Yeah, it's very sad indeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, either a tail rotor failure or it, which is more likely than it removed its own tail rotor, which can happen in certain circumstances. But Richard Evans makes a good point there as well. Most of these sightseeing flights are classed as lessons due to airfield licensing requirements to do these things. So it may be that on paper, but yeah, it was very tragic that this has all happened, sadly.
Yeah, that was the bit I didn't quite get, actually, because all of the television coverage was saying it was a training flight, and then there's 4, obviously the pilot and 3 passengers on board, which I did find a bit odd, but that kind of explains it, I think, Andy, doesn't it?
And even, I mean, it's probably not relevant to this one, but when I was doing my flight training, we used to go up as 4s as well, because it's quite helpful if you're sat in the back watching somebody else do something and you can take something away from it as well. So that's another possibility, but I believe from reading the news and stuff, it was a family on board this, so I doubt it was that.
Yeah.
Very sad indeed. Hopefully the AAIB will get to the bottom of it. Fingers crossed. Matt, moving on to the next story, and it's a Ryanair story this week, and a subject which we've covered about 1,000 times on this show, and people still can't quite obviously get their head around the fact this doesn't work.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that's bound to make me get really cross. Aviation 2Z.com is a source for this one, and the headline is Ryanair passenger arrested as it tries to open exit door at Manchester Airport. A Ryanair flight to Agadir was forced to return shortly after takeoff when a passenger allegedly attempted to open an emergency exit mid-air on the 25th of August 2025. The incident led to an unscheduled landing back at Manchester Airport, where Greater Manchester Police arrested the passenger. The aircraft was inspected by engineers before continuing its journey. The Ryanair flight Romeo Kilo 1266 took off from Manchester Airport's Terminal 3 at around 9:20 a.m. on the 25th of August, bound for Agadir Al Masira Airport in Morocco. Shortly after departure, a passenger reportedly tried to tamper with an emergency exit. According to accounts from on board, fellow passengers intervened and notified the cabin crew. The individual was removed from the emergency exit seat, and the captain positioned himself near the door for the remainder of the return flight. Oh, that's interesting. The captain Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. The Boeing 737-800 diverted back to Manchester, landing safely at 9 minutes past 10 a.m. after spending just over an hour in the air. Greater Manchester Police confirmed that a woman was taken into custody upon landing. Law enforcement boarded the aircraft immediately after landing. Officers escorted the passenger off the plane without further incident. Authorities have not yet released additional details about the individual involved or potential charges. Following the removal of the passenger, Ryanair engineers conducted safety checks on the emergency door. Witnesses reported that some plastic covers were replaced before the aircraft was cleared for departure again. Attempts to interfere with aircraft safety systems, including emergency exits, are treated as serious aviation security threats, although emergency exits cannot be opened at cruising altitude due to cabin pressure. Attempts to tamper with them pose risks and often result in diversions, arrests and possible criminal charges. Now, I'm just going to circle back to one bit there that surprised me. Is this an error in this story, Andy?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I could understand if it was like the chief cabin crew, who would be positioned there to make a decision, to protect.
With this sort of incident, nobody in the flight deck is going to leave the flight deck at any point then. They'll remain locked in and get this thing on the ground. So, that something's got lost in translation somewhere on that one, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's more likely to be like senior cabin crew, essentially, I guess, who would be on duty there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
the captain will not have left.
Well, no, exactly. It was more the fact that it's essentially what that would entail to me would be single pilot operations, which is suboptimal if you were arriving back at Manchester very soon.
That's an emergency within itself.
Yes,
single pilot ops on a
landing at Manchester. You mean? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Always a risk.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's complaints at planetalkinguk.co.uk.
Yeah, sure, why not? No, it's no, I believe it's airline pilot guy, isn't it? Complaints. Anyway. Yeah.
Now, and Andy, here's a question for you. Now, we all know about the fact that it's not possible to open the cabin door at cruising altitude. What about during the takeoff roll?
So, depending on the aircraft type, they sometimes slightly pre-pressurize the aircraft. But, of course, you'll still be able to open that door. So if you had a rejected takeoff and needed to evacuate, you can open the doors because the aircraft hasn't pressurized. Right. It starts to pressurize in the climb and then depressurize in the descent. I don't know if you remember last year there was somebody on a 321 in China somewhere who'd managed to open the door during descent and approach. So it's not locked in any way. So at low level, you would be able to open the door until the pressure difference got high enough that you physically couldn't do it. So it's still a dangerous thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I shall be in 1A next week, so I shall be guarding the door.
And
we don't have any funny business.
You've had training, Nev.
I have, yes. And how about this? When Carlos and I were with Andy a couple of weeks ago at the training facility, we had the chance to open a cabin door to see how heavy it was. And it is quite heavy. And also to pick up an emergency exit door as well, that is a very weighty item as well. And then we also had a go at opening and closing the flight deck window. That is also a substantial piece of hardware, as we both found out.
I bet. Now, you mentioned there, Nev, about travelling in seat 1A next week. Where will Mrs. Nev be?
Well, in 1 Charlie, so she'll be. Yes, so
I didn't know if it was just you in in 1A.
No, I
she's
suppose
in capital class.
I ought to let her fly in the same cabin as myself.
I'm pleased to hear that. Well done.
Well, I hope what happens in the next story doesn't happen to you, Nev.
Quite, no, indeed.
Oh, dear.
Although we have got some nice long runways at Gatwick and at Gran Canaria as well. But, this story is on Aviation A to Z, and it says British Airways removes 20 passengers from flight at an Italian airport. Well, 20 passengers were asked to leave a BA flight before departure when high temperatures made the aircraft too heavy for a safe takeoff. The Embraer ERJ-190 was scheduled to fly from Amerigo Vespucci Airport in Florence to London City Airport, but extreme heat meant that the aircraft required additional fuel, pushing its weight beyond limits for the short runway. The incident took place during a heat wave when temperatures reached 35 degrees Celsius, reducing air density, and in aviation, thinner air creates less lift, forcing aircraft to need more power and fuel to take off. On this occasion, the fuel requirement increased the plane's weight beyond what the 5,118-foot runway in Florence could handle. For context, Gatwick's main runway measures 10,859 feet, so that's more than double the length. BA initially asked 36 passengers to volunteer for removal, but only 20 agreed to disembark, and those passengers were later accommodated on alternative flights with hotel stays and ground transport arranged by the airline. Pilots regularly check density altitude, which combines air temperature, pressure and humidity to determine aircraft performance. And higher density altitude reduces lift and engine power, limiting payload capacity. In this case, the combination of extreme heat and Florence's shorter runway restricted the takeoff performance of the ERJ-190. Well, it would do, wouldn't it? I mean, just over 5,000 foot of runway, 35 degrees centigrade and a full load. That's quite a lot to get off the deck, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is already a heavily penalised airfield for performance on a good ISA sort of day, so that's 15 degrees, QNH of 10, 13, the perfect weather. It's right, as it says, it's not really about the fuel here, it's about the weight of the aircraft and what can be lifted. The lower the air density is, the less thrust that the aircraft can produce as well. So ideally you want cold air, high pressure to get big, thick amounts of air through those engines, because all it does is essentially push them out the back again. So this happens quite often. I've seen it happen several times down in places like Lanzarote as well, which has performance issues due to all the hills around and about. Florence is very similar as well, not just the runway length. And unfortunately, somebody's got to get off. I'm sure they'll have offered them a nice wedge of cash as well to get off.
Yeah, they don't mention that in the story, strange enough, do they? So, but yeah, I'm sure that there are quite a few performance-limited airfields, certainly in the southern parts of Europe, where the temperatures can be very high, and obviously you need terrain clearance as well, don't you?
Yeah, and the other option is to, they've probably looked at this as well, but maybe offloading all the bags. It's not a massive aircraft anyway, that might not have been enough. So then they had to look at removing passengers as well. These are all the things. You think flying an aircraft is just a simple job of getting on, off you go, come back. The things that come up during the day and the considerations you've got to give to stuff like this, you don't think about that when you're setting off in flight school to do this. But it's all part of a day in the life of a pilot.
So John Falk is saying in the chat room, by the way, that why jumbos leave at night from Johannesburg, combination of heat, height of Johannesburg, and also max fuel to go to Europe. Now, this is an interesting one from John for you, Andy. He's saying, Andy, have you ever added gas for high temperatures? I never have added fuel for that. We have taken it off and planned to stop, or just kicked off the people to make the wait.
Yeah, I'm the same, John. I've never added fuel for the purposes of high temperatures. I've done exactly what you've done, either kick people off or reduce the fuel load and drop in somewhere else on the way for a tech stop to top the tanks up to get to destination. So again, I don't know if there's something lost in translation in this one, but I've never added fuel for this scenario.
And just looking at John Falk's point, of course, Johannesburg is a high airfield. It's 1,694 metres above sea level. And with the temperatures obviously down there as well, that will definitely limit performance during the hottest part of the day, I would imagine.
Yeah, which is why nighttime departures are preferred for places like that. Just get a little bit thicker air with the cooler temperatures.
Very true. I know that because I tried to get out of North Deans Airport with Andrew Hall, listener, in a 150 a few months back. And it was even tricky in a 150 on a hot and humid day. Yeah. Trust me. Andy, you've got the next story, and interesting to see what your feedback is on this.
Yeah, so this is from flightglobal.com. Inquiry warns of possible Airbus transponder loss incidents before patch fully rolls out. French investigators probing incidents involving losses of transponder and collision avoidance capability on Airbus jets are warning that further occurrences are likely before software patches for a radio system fault are fully rolled out. Around 1,000 Airbus aircraft, primarily A320neo family models, require the patches, and Airbus has developed temporary procedures for the A320neo, 330neo, to address the situation. In the meantime, 3 events in French airspace, 2 of which are regarded as serious, occurred over a 7-month period, and investigators have identified 7 other events over a broader 2-year span. The incidents have been traced to failures in the Digital Radio and Audio Integrated Management System, known as DRAMS, which is fitted to certain 320neo, 330neo and A350 jets. It enables a pilot to interact with radio, navigation and communications, transponders and the collision avoidance system. But French investigation authority BEA says an unanticipated failure mode with DRAMS can lead to a cascade of problems. The system's audio management unit is vulnerable to tiny interruptions in network connectivity, causing it to switch to a degraded mode and generate erroneous messages to various functions. The erratic nature of the failure makes it impossible to predict with certainty its operational consequences on the function controlled by DRAMS, said BAA. But crucial communication systems are particularly affected, among them radio, controller pilot data link, oral alerts, transponder and collision avoidance availability. The 3 incidents investigated show the appearance of the failure, and notably its management in real time can compromise all the safety barriers aimed at preventing a mid-air collision. One of these incidents involved a Transavia A321neo, which was operating Alicante to Amsterdam on the 29th of April, when the pilots experienced desynchronization of their radio management panels and transponder problems. Reims Area Control Centre lost radar contact with the aircraft, and it was forced to orbit and start descending from 36,000 feet after being refused entry to Maastricht and Brussels airspace. While descending, the jet came in proximity with a Norwegian Boeing 737 cruising at 34,000 feet en route to Gothenburg, which had been instructed to deviate left of its flight path to avoid the orbiting A321. The BAA says the aircraft was separated by 3.9 nautical miles laterally and 1,400 feet vertically, adding that this incident in particular highlights the risks presented by the DRAMS failure. Matt, is there any chance you can bring that picture back up as well that you just had up there? So I can sort of explain what this is. So you'll see there below the flight management computers on each side, there's another panel with a screen and lots of buttons and stuff. Now, in the older aircraft, this panel was split into 2 sections. You had the audio control panel and the radio management panel. Now this integrates lots of things, including the transponder, backup, navigation, radios that you can put in. A lot of eggs have been put in one basket, essentially, here into 2 pieces of equipment. And if it starts to go wrong, it can go very wrong quickly. So Airbus do need to come up with a fix for this pronto. It's a brilliant system when it works properly, but as is seen here, it can cause all sorts of unintended consequences.
And presumably this is not a new situation. This has been known about presumably for a while, because other airlines have experienced this as well.
Yeah, and this has been fitted to a lot of aircraft for quite some time now, and only now problems are coming to light with it. So it's like most things, you design something new, you try to fix a perceived problem, and then it runs into teething issues. They will get it fixed. It's like your computers. It's just a software bug somewhere that's not happy with some of the messages going through it, and they just need to patch it, essentially. But this has been highlighted to all operators who have the DRAM system fitted, that they need to be very aware of this.
Go back to Windows 98. Don't get that issue then.
And if you're going to roll back, it's got to be NT4. That was the most reliable. Although Windows 2000 weren't too bad,
Just don't get Windows ME. Do you remember that Millennium Edition? What a waste of time.
Yes. Well, it was basically Windows 98 with lots of things wrong with it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
They've got a habit of doing things like that. Windows.
Yes,
Anyway,
never had that trouble, did you, Nev?
No, not a platform that I recognise.
No, absolutely. Quite right, too.
Right, next story, independent.co.uk, this one. And I sincerely hope that Boeing have got a huge amount of factories they're going to open in the next 10 minutes. Korean Air strikes a £37 billion deal to buy over 100 Boeing aircraft. Korean Air announced this week of a $50 billion or $37 billion pound deal to buy more than 100 Boeing aircraft and several spare engines and obtain engine maintenance for 20 years. The deal was formalised at a signing ceremony in Washington on Monday this week as South Korean President Lee Jae-myung met with his US counterpart Donald Trump. The deal includes $36.2 billion for 103 next-generation Boeing aircraft and a $690 million for 19 spare engines from GE Aerospace and CFM International, and $13 billion for a 20-year engine maintenance service contract with GE Aerospace. Wow. The aircraft purchase order includes 20 Boeing 777-9s, 25 787-10s, 50 Boeing 737-10s, and 8 Boeing 777-8F freighters. The new aircraft are scheduled for phased delivery through to the end of 2030, according to the Korean Air statement. The signing ceremony in Washington was attended by Walter Chow, Chairman and CEO of Korean Air, Stephanie Pope, President and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, and Russell Stokes, President and CEO of Commercial Engine and Services at GE Aerospace, the statement said this week. Well, not only is that a lot of aircraft, that's a lot of money.
It is, and obviously such a massive commercial deal going on there, and it's on the Independent, so, you know, reputable newspaper here in the UK.
For a change.
So unfortunately, their picture that they used to describe what you've just mentioned was an Airbus A380.
Oh, excellent.
So I didn't use that picture, obviously. But yeah, bit of a fail on their part. Going back to the story, though, that is a massive deal, isn't it? Gosh.
I mean, they're struggling now with the backlog of aircraft because I think we talked about another big order a few weeks back on the show, and this is another 100 aircraft.
But I mean, I guess they must have been given, they must have been told a time frame, if you see what I mean. And I guess if they're happy with that time frame that they've been given and they can turn it round in that, because they won't have been given a fictitious, it'll have been based on current facts, presumably.
Well, judging by the current situation, well, both at Airbus and at Boeing as well, you don't want to be in a rush for your new aircraft. The backlogs at both factories are pretty large. And with the amount of flying that's going on, the amount of fleet renewal that's going on, that will only get worse. I mean, it's tremendous to see it and hear about it, but actually trying to get these aircraft delivered in the time frame or the windows that the airlines want, pretty challenging, I would imagine.
Yeah, be interesting to see how that backlog looks in a year's time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nev, you have the next story, and be interesting to hear Andy's feedback on
Well, I mean, straight away, if Andy's thinking about emigrating to Australia to operate down there for Qantas, forget it, mate. This story is just, tells you all you need to know. It's been sent to us by John Jester. Thank you, John. It's on aviationatoz.com. It says that Qantas are to ban pilots' beards over safety concerns. The Australian carrier is reviewing a grooming policy that could ban pilots from wearing beards, citing concerns about oxygen mask safety. The review follows a study by British defence company Kinetic that linked facial hair to potential air leaks in quick donning oxygen systems. The policy change would affect pilots flying from Sydney Kingsford Smith Airport and regional carriers such as Qantas Link, where beards have been allowed until now. Critics argue that the move contradicts recent studies suggesting no safety risk, while Kinetic's assessment suggests that beards may compromise the airtight seal required for pilot oxygen masks during emergencies. These masks are critical in emergency situations, such as cabin depressurization, where immediate oxygen supply can mean the difference between safety and incapacitation. Qantas already restricts mainline pilots from wearing beards, but the airline now intends to expand this ban to all cockpit crew, including regional operators. The proposed rule has caused frustration amongst crew members, with some growing beards in protest. Many pilots highlight research published by Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in the Journal of Aerospace Medicine and Human Performance. Well, according to the study, beards do not interfere with mask performance, even under simulated rapid decompression at 30,000 feet. Contrary to Kinetic's review, multiple studies suggest that beards do not interfere with oxygen delivery systems. Well, the Embry-Riddle research involves 24 participants, including clean-shaven, short-bearded and long-bearded individuals. Tests show no delay in mask donning, no oxygen saturation issues, and no leakage of smoke or fumes. Further testing exposed participants to strong odours and fumes to evaluate whether beards compromise the mask's seal. None of the subjects reported detecting fumes, indicating that the masks remained airtight. Andy.
Yes, I've had no problem wearing masks in the past. I mean, I haven't been in a situation where I've had smoke and fumes, etc. Look at that lovely man. It's a lovely beard he's got there. I don't see the problem with having a beard. And when you've got a big research people like Embry-Riddle doing this, and they agree that a beard's fine, just leave it be.
Yeah. What about aircraft at higher altitudes? So we're seeing the aircraft such as the A350 and 787 up there at flight level 430, for example. Any difference with that, do you think?
Not really, because it's all about how quick you can get the mask on, and the way the masks are designed, it's not difficult to get them on. The whole headset, the harness that goes over your head to hold it in place, when you go to release it, that inflates, so you can literally just put it over your head, let go of it, and it sucks in and seals up your face. So it's a nice straightforward system. Is it really make that much of a difference? A few millimetres of hair? I mean, mine's a bit longer than a few millimetres at the moment, but, that when you've got 100% saturated, forced oxygen in your face, well, I'm no expert, but I'm not shaving off my beard. So end of discussion.
Fair. Okay. No, absolutely fair.
Darren Smith in the chat room says, ban pilots wearing glasses next. Oops, Andy.
Oh, yep.
Oh, wow.
You really don't want to do that.
No, that seems a little bit dangerous. I'm not going to lie.
No.
Yes.
And the other thing is, of course, I mean, these, full face masks, I mean, these things, as you say, they really do sort of suck onto your face, and it is a forced 100% oxygen supply, isn't it?
Yep, it's set by default to be 100% forced air. If you want to change that, you can. There's a little knob on the front or various other designs. The ones we use, I've got this little knob that you can change it on. There's a flick switch as well. But by default, you are getting 100% oxygen forced at your face.
There you go. Don't grow a beard.
Well, quite.
Or wear a wig. That'll be the next thing. Moving on to the next story, Matt. And this is the way of travel for Mr. Bounds.
Indeed. InsideFlyer.com is the source for this one, and the headline is Eurowings becomes first German airline with premium 2 business class on the A320neo. Eurowings is stepping up its game with the launch of the premium biz seat on its Airbus A320neo fleet for the very first time. The new cabin product is now available for booking and will debut on the 22nd of November on the Berlin-Dubai route. Instead of the standard 3-3 seating, the premium biz seat features a spacious 2-2 configuration in the first row of the A320neo with just 8 seats per aircraft. Each seat will come with adjustable leg rest, a USB port, cocktail table, a pillow and blanket, and also an amenity kit as well. The onboard service is also upgraded, including an aperitif and hot meal, making this a significant step forward towards long-haul comfort on a medium-haul aircraft. Eurowings is the first German airline to introduce this type of product on a narrow-body jet. As Inside Flyer reported earlier this year, the seat was initially tested as part of a pilot project for future Lufthansa Group cabin concepts. Comfort, however, comes at quite the price. The airline has set the entry-level surcharge at €399 each way, on top of the regular biz class fare. Early bookings suggest that surcharges may rise even higher, with some reported showing up to €600 per route, a level that many frequent flyers may find difficult to justify, especially given the seat does not convert into a lie-flat bed. From our perspective, a realistic surcharge would be the range of around €150 to €250, which would strike a fairer balance between comfort and cost. That is the opinion of InsideFlyer.com.
So my question:
nice. Looks nice.
if you pay for a biz class ticket, but don't want to pay the premium for this seat, where did they put you?
Good point.
Otherwise, why not just add it into the cost of the airfare in the first place?
Yeah, it's a strong argument.
It is nice, but a 320 Berlin to Dubai on a 320, no thanks.
I mean, I think I'd be all right in those seats. I think I'd be.
I was going to say economy.
Yeah, yeah. No thanks. No, indeed.
Nice concept, though.
Just seems it's like a lot of things, though, isn't it? I mean, I just think it's an awful lot of money, isn't it? It's too much money. Too much money.
Yeah, JetBlue do something similar, don't they, for their business class seats? I mean, their mid suites and stuff like that are far better than this. And there's a surcharge for them, isn't there? I think so.
Yeah.
So, from one posh seat on to a story about posh uniforms. Oh, this is nice. I can definitely see Andy wearing a Hugo Boss captain's uniform. That'd be nice for you, wouldn't it, Andy? Better than the usual one you get, I think, with most airlines these days. Paddle your own canoe. .com is this one. Lufthansa are working on a new Hugo Boss designed flight attendant uniform. First in over 2 decades. German flag carrier Lufthansa is reportedly working on a new uniform for tens of thousands of flight attendants, pilots, and other frontline staff. And the airliner has tapped iconic German design house Hugo Boss to lead the project. Lufthansa has apparently been secretly working on the project for some time and is getting ready to start testing the new collection in the real world, where testing trials, according to German language aviation site Telegraph. The airline has had its current uniform for nearly 24 years after working with 2 lesser-known designers back in 2001 to develop a separate male and female collections that feature dark navy blazers, white shirts and blouses, and bright yellow accessories for neck scarves. While we know that Hugo Boss has designed new threads, Lufthansa isn't yet willing to provide any further information apart from confirming that wear and testing is expecting to get underway from the 1st of September this year. Wear testing will involve a small number of employees from various work groups who will provide feedback on whether the uniforms are comfortable and fit for purpose in their respective roles. A spokesperson for Lufthansa would not be drawn on the timetable for when a new uniform might be introduced, telling Aero Telegraph that the date for a full rollout was still open. The new uniform projects can be very lengthy endeavours, although Lufthansa shouldn't face the kinds of delays that several major airlines faced when their new uniform plans were derailed by the pandemic. Perhaps its best example of this was United Airlines. Their new uniform project kicked off in 2017, only to be marred by a series of delays before being completely suspended in early 2000 when the pandemic struck. The airline finally got around to rolling out its new uniform a few months ago, but despite extensive wear tests, there have still been a number of teething issues, such as flight attendants being told to wear baggy dresses because the cut of their dresses stopped wearers from raising their hands above their shoulders. Whether Lufthansa opts for separate male and female collections again or opts for a gender-neutral option remains to be seen. And back in April, Air New Zealand revealed its new uniform designs that include gender-neutral options, allowing staff to mix and match certain uniform items to suit their identity. For example, crew members can choose to wear pinstripe trousers that would traditionally only be for male flight attendants, coupled with a gender-neutral blouse featuring a bold print by Tamoko artist Tarangit Netana, whoever the bloomin' hell that is. Andy, question. How's your uniform for the airline that you fly for? Is it comfy?
Yeah, it's fine. And I've had it delivered. We've got a new uniform now as well. Ooh. But we don't start wearing it till later in the year. And it's far better quality, actually. It's really nice shirt. It's a nice new jacket. It's very good.
I suppose one of the important things is for you, Andy, obviously for the people on the flight deck, for the crews and stuff, is to be comfortable whilst you're there doing your job. That is, I think, is the main thing. And for the cabin crew as well.
The uniform's good. The most important thing, I'd say, especially on a relatively long flight over 3 hours, some nice warm thermal socks in the flight deck of a 320, because the floor is metal and it gets very cold.
Yes. Did you? Was it you, Andy? You said they were having, or they got foot warmers in one of the.
That's an optional extra, which my employer has not taken up.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yes. So some nice, comfortable Chelsea boots with some thick thermal socks in them, and your feet stay toasty. The other good thing is that the windows, the rear windows of the flight deck, the little metal shelf where the window slides along, that turns into a fridge. You get ice forming on there, so you can keep your Mars bar and your can of pop nice and cold there. That's really good. That's helpful.
Oh well, we're going back to the 1900s, Nev, with these aircraft. I think.
Well,
it's
yeah,
I'm sure. Fridge.
Yes. I'm sure that the fellas and girls at SAS and Finnair have gone for the feet warmer option from Airbus. Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mash has asked in the chat room, Andy, do you have to pay for your own uniforms?
No. Nope. It's all provided for us, thankfully. And we get an allocation each year of X amount of shirts we can get, trousers, all the other bits and pieces. So it's nice.
John Jester. I was going to carry on, Andy. Sorry.
Is it not that I wear mine very often?
No.
These days.
John Jesters in the chat room says that apparently he's down to his T-shirt on most flights.
Well, what he gets up to on the flight deck's his business, isn't it?
I'm guessing the particular
the cargo
passengers,
crew. Yeah.
So the particular passengers that John carries aren't really that bothered about.
Pilot attire, yes.
No,
what goes on a 747-8 stays on 747-8.
Quite, absolutely. Quite right too.
More on that when we see John again. Andy, next one for you.
Yes, this is from the bbc.co.uk. And commercial flights from Doncaster Sheffield Airport unlikely until 2028. Holidaymakers will not be jetting off from a reopened Doncaster Airport until 2028, a regional mayor has said. The airport closed in 2022 after its previous owner said it was no longer financially viable, but a new operator was secured earlier this year, and it was previously earmarked to reopen in 2026. But in a speech to the Doncaster Chamber on Tuesday, South Yorkshire Mayor Oliver Coppard said Doncaster Sheffield Airport, DSA, was unlikely to be at full operational capacity, referring to commercial flights, for another 3 years. We will aim, of course, for that to happen sooner, he added. City of Doncaster Council previously said that more than £100 million of public money would be needed to reopen the airport and set up a new publicly owned company called Fly Doncaster. In April, the Prime Minister confirmed that £30 million in funding could be released to support the project. However, Coppard said the budget for the project was not unlimited, and the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority was yet to make a decision on whether to commit the funding. At this point, I cannot say when we'll reopen DSA and create a world-leading sustainable aviation hub at Gateway East, he said. There are still challenges for us to overcome. Since its closure, South Yorkshire politicians and business groups have campaigned to reopen it as a keystone of wider development plans for the region. Coppard said work was still ongoing to determine whether reopening the airport was more likely to be a huge economic driver or a significant drain on public funds. There can, of course, be no guarantees either way, but the greater the scrutiny, the expertise and the work we can bring to bear now, the greater the likelihood of getting that decision right, he said. I can say that if we're not able to take a positive decision to fund the reopening of our airport, it will not be for lack of work, a lack of political will or a lack of analysis and insight. And there's a bit there. Oh, is that for you, Nev?
No, I was just a question from me, really. We're short of runway capacity. Obviously, and this is talking about the southeast of England, but this is not the southeast of England. But, you've got a runway which is just under 9,500 feet long, 2,895 metres. How difficult can it be to restart good regional operations from this airport? Now, I know there's a lot of other, stuff around with East Midlands and all the rest of it, but really, I would have thought that some of the, I would assume sort of the bucket and spade tour operators could make a go of this.
Yeah, well, in the past, it's in a weird place, this airfield. It's out to the east of the country in an area that doesn't have a huge catchment area. You've got Leeds, you've got Doncaster, you've got Manchester. It's sort of in the same sort of line as Teesside, which is another outlier. It's what is the need for that airfield for regional flights? Where's the demand? If there's the demand there, then brilliant, it'll work. But at the moment, I don't think there is, and I don't understand really why they're pushing to reopen this at £100 million because the previous operator couldn't make it work. At one point, TUI were operating flights to the Caribbean out of there as well on 787s.
Yeah, that's right.
Because my wife flew out from there once, yes. So it's been done before, but my real question is what's different this time?
Yeah, and it's also, as you say, it is in a very odd place, and also the infrastructure for transport to and from the airport and that kind of thing. This, of course, is the former RAF Finningley site, isn't it? If we go back,
that's right,
a long way. So Darren in the chat room says, just get the Vulcan flying again, which would be great, wouldn't it? Of course, it was based there.
That would be nice.
Previously.
It's still there, yeah. It's still
it is,
there.
yeah. But there we go.
To which I replied, more chance of winning the Euro Millions.
Well, yeah.
And getting that flying again, unfortunately. That's it for commercial news. And time to move on to the next part of the show. And for quite a few people in the chat room, I know a few in there, this is one of their favourite bits of the show. So, Nev, what's up next?
Well, yeah, this week we head back to 1986 and 1987 for a double helping of retro airline ad goodness and an airline that had that warm, fuzzy feeling.
I remember my father's favorite chair. He'd come home, stretch out, and nap through all his favorite TV shows. That chair was home to him. When you take a seat on a Delta jet, I want you to feel like you're coming home. Sounds corny, I know, but I love what I do. And I don't get paid extra to smile. It just feels comfortable to me. Kind of like my father's chair.
Delta gets you there. We get you there with care.
I was 10 years old when I built my first model plane. I thought it was fantastic. Flew all of about 5 feet the first time out, but that was enough. I knew then I wanted to fly forever.
Oh, look at
It's
that
a feeling, it
L10
gets in your
11.
blood. And after 20 years of flying with Elder, it's still there. Hey, I may never get you to feel the way I do about flying, but sure would like to try.
Delta gets you there. We get you there with care.
There we go.
I could see you looking longingly at that TriStar cockpit there.
I just say that wasn't a flight deck. That was a palatial penthouse suite room there, for sure. But yeah, it's Delta was such a lovely airline. I think it probably still is now, but it just seemed very very family orientated back in the 80s and 70s and 80s. It's quite a happy sort of airline, but no. Retro interiors, as always there, Nev, with those huge ceilings. I'll never get over how tall the ceilings were in the DC-10s and MD-11s.
Yeah, I know. If only the same could have been said for the seat pitch. I remember my flight to Dallas-Fort Worth from Gatwick on a BA DC-10 when I was in the middle of a seat of 5 for nearly 10 hours. Oh, boy, that was horrific. Absolutely horrific. But, yeah, I mean, both the DC-10 and TriStar, you know, well, obviously including the Jumbo, but, you know, really made a massive difference to transatlantic and long-distance flying.
Yeah. Yeah, and long may the single solitary flying L1011 carry on flying over in
is there still one
the
going?
US. One single L1011 that's still flying in the world, and that's Orbital Sciences over in the US. I think it does some work for sort of new technology, aircraft technology and stuff. So
surely its days must be numbered. Surely because of the airframe age. I mean,
I think it was quite a low hour frame, the one that those guys got. And I mean, they've got no intention. I was reading on their website a few weeks back, and they've got no intentions on retiring the aircraft either. It must be such a good platform for them to use for their, you know, the stuff the tests and stuff they have to do. But yeah, very good.
They launch rockets from it.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Look it up. There's some good videos on YouTube actually of the Orbital Sciences L1011. Very good. Right. Now, handing things over to you, Matt, for the next part of the show.
Yes, indeed. So on Friday of last week, Nev and I headed over to Shoreham to speak with Jonathan Warner about his experiences and thoughts of the tragic airshow accident that occurred on the 22nd of August 2015. It was the first time that Jonathan had spoken with us in such detail, but on the 10th anniversary of this accident, it seemed a fitting time to sit down with him and to discuss it. We also visited the permanent memorial site and took part in the 2-minute silence at 13:22 that commemorated this tragedy that claimed the lives of 11 people and injured many more. Must be a very strange feeling when you're standing at that same place.
Yeah, it is a bit strange.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think it will be later.
Yeah. What's your memory of being there on the day? I mean,
The sound. If I think I can hear the noise of it.
Firstly, I can't believe it's 10 years.
It's gone quick.
It's like so far. I was saying to Nev, like it was, like it feels like you think COVID was like 5 years ago now or whatever, and it was just like when we were talking about this, and I thought I can't believe it's been 10 years since this, since this awful thing. Now you were there, and lots of photos and stuff that we've seen before. Let's start with the actual day itself. So I guess it's just an air show like any other day. You'd sort of pop down there. You're quite often on that bit of the road rather than in the actual air show itself.
I'd never done it before.
Oh, did you not?
It was a last minute change of plan. I was always meant to go to Dawlish, the opposite way, in Devon.
But you wish you had now.
There was a show that I did every year. You were up
Yeah.
on the hillside and you were sort of to the side of the flight line, so everything would sort of come over the top.
Wow, yeah.
Get lovely head-on shots. I'd even bought a programme for it and a donation which helped them get the Vulcan there.
Right.
And then that morning I had a message from my friend saying, oh, you at Shoreham or Dawlish, what's your plans?
Yeah.
I goes, oh, plan on Dawlish. He goes, well, I'm driving down to Shoreham if you want to go. Then I looked at the list.
Yeah.
List was better. Sea Vixen, which I've only shot 1 or 2 times, which now won't shoot again.
Yeah.
Vulcan was displaying there as well.
What, right, yep.
There was a few other rare items there that I'd not seen. There was a Ju-52. I saw one when I was a kid fly over school, and I've never seen one since. So it was a case of, oh yeah, the weather's going to be nicer as well. It was like 18 degrees cloudy, bit drizzly at Dawlish.
Yeah.
25 degrees and sunny down shore. I was like, I'll go for a little bit of sun.
Yeah, a bit of a no-brainer.
So
then, I
yeah,
guess.
jumped on a train down to Winchester and jumped in a car with a friend.
Nice. So you didn't go into the air show itself. You were actually roadside. So describe to me like the location, if you like, of where.
So I had no idea where I was going. It was my friend does it every year, or did it every year. So I just followed him. He pulled up in a lay-by. Said, "Jump out here. I'll go abandon the car. There's a lane he could stick the car in." So we jumped out on the side of the A27, like you do. And he goes, it's a good spot here, you know, sun comes round behind you in the afternoon, photography wise it was perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took his word for it.
Yeah. So talk me through the sort of like the action of the day, if you like. So what sort of time were the first planes flying?
So it was like a broken display. There was a little bit of display action in the sort of late morning, a few lighter displays. There's an extra 300, the muscle pits that is now jet pits.
Yeah.
That flew in the morning. Then they had a bit of a break for about an hour. We'd actually walked down to there's a bridge over the river estuary there. We'd walked down there to catch up with some friends, walked back up and stopped on the corner. And where we were stood over the opposite side of the road where we thankfully stood that day, you couldn't see the airfield at all. There's a big hedgerow there, so it completely blocked your view. So when I stopped on this corner, there was a cut in the hedge and you could see the end of the runway.
Right.
I said to my friend, I was like, I might stop over here for a bit.
Yeah.
I might stop over here and sort of watch from here because you could see the runway. He's like, obviously our other friends were over the other side. He's like, oh, I'm going to go over there, and you know, the view's fine over here. You don't need to see the runway because nothing interesting is coming off of it. It's all the lighter stuff that's in there. Most stuff flies in.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll go on then.
Yeah.
It turns out it's a very good plan.
Right.
Because that's where it impacted.
Right. Gosh.
45 minutes later.
Okay. So, gosh.
Yeah. I told that story to my wife once. That was a really poor choice.
Right. Yeah. Bit of a, yeah. So obviously, stop me if I'm sort of prying too much. But with the where you were sort of like your vantage point, I suppose, for this. I mean, how did the incident itself unfold?
I think this was because it was early on in the display as a first what I consider interesting item. I always like the Hunter anyway, and so you sort of get excited. It's starting to get going because all the early stuff is all the what we call spam. the mildly interesting for the average Joe. But this was the first like interesting item. I think it did about 3 passes, did a fairly straight level pass, banked away, come up into the loop.
Yeah.
And something we noticed at the time was it never sounded like there was a lot of power in the display. There was, I mean, the Hunter's not the world's most powerful jet, but it was never, it turns out it wasn't at maximum power to go into a loop.
Right.
Pulled up into a loop, sort of rolled off the top, come back down. And I was tracking it with a camera lens, so only see that viewpoint,
Yeah.
see it coming down, beautifully lit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, look at that.
Great
Coming down,
shot,
coming
yeah.
down towards us. Obviously it's a camouflage top side, so
Yeah.
lovely in the sun. Come down and you're sort of tracking it down, and I could hear some comments from my mate. But then you see the trees, you think, oh, he's got that a
Quite
bit
low.
low.
Yeah.
And then you see traffic lights,
Right.
and then you see cars.
Wow.
And then I saw a man's shoulder that was stood next to me, and last shot I got was just as the tail touched, and then a man's shoulder. Which I'm kind of glad about.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd have probably just kept my finger on the shutter and kept clicking.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd have wanted to or
No.
been happy with it.
No.
But
No.
I stopped. I've got a shot of the tail toucher and like a man's back.
Right. So, blimey. I mean, what went through your head at that moment? I mean, you've been to so many air shows and stuff. So I mean, you will have, as I suppose, like especially when you're seeing like treetops and stuff. I mean, you must have known something was going wrong.
It was
at
once
that
you
point.
saw traffic lights, treetops. You think we're out base. You're quite near to a big hedgerow, and there was
Yeah.
trees there. So the treetops didn't bother me so much because I see that there's other shows I'll do from the outside, and it's always photography based.
Yeah.
So you're outside to get a better light, and because you're in that position, you're in a field that's surrounded by trees. You might catch trees in a
Yeah.
shot. So that didn't make any difference. It's when you
Yeah.
saw the traffic lights that you realised it wasn't quite right.
No. What's your memory of being there on the day? I mean,
The sound.
The sound.
I can hear. If I think I can hear the noise of it.
Really?
It's
Describe it for me.
metal scraping along the road. Imagine a hunter's, I guess, around 10 tons. It was
Yeah.
heavy, it was full of fuel. It was first display out of 2 from that takeoff.
Yeah.
It was doing 2 shows and going home.
Right.
So it was heavy, full of fuel, hits the road, and it just carries on down the road and off into the hedgerow. And you can hear the scraping metal.
God.
Yeah, that's...
I hadn't thought of that.
that's the
such
one
yeah.
thing, and the smell of jet fuel burning. That
Yeah.
those 2 things is the takeaway from it. Is what I can see and hear the most,
Yeah.
or smell.
So, I mean, obviously, an awful situation like there. I mean, what's the reaction from that? I mean,
Well, after it come off the road and then barreled into the hedgerow, there was a big fireball went
Yeah.
up, and the wind was blowing towards us. This big fireball appears in front of us. We all just, I think I tried to bury my head in a hedgerow similar to the one behind you. Try to bury my head in there, and obviously you could see stuff in this fireball. You have no idea what it is.
No.
Turns out it was just leaves.
Right.
But yeah, this big fireball just washes over the top of us. Yeah.
I mean, the heat, I suppose, as well.
Yeah,
must
oh
be
yeah,
a
you can
bit-
feel that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think it was 11 people
Yeah.
that lost their lives that day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that must have changed your perspective on like air shows and things like that from that. I mean, how did, I suppose, because I mean, you've been going to them for years, if
Yeah.
you like, at that point. So it was not something that you would have like even batted an eyelid to. You know, you're going like sometimes twice a week, aren't you? With,
Yeah.
with some of the various air shows that you've gone to have experienced that. I mean, that must have been hard to go to another air show after that.
It was tricky. The weekend after, my friend called me and he just said, "What are you doing Sunday?"
Yeah.
And it was when, what was it called? Cold War Jet Stay at Bruntingthorpe.
Yep.
They just taxied, higher powered taxis of all the classic jets they had. They said, "Do you want to go?" And he was just trying to get my head back in it, you know, because it's one of those things. I know a bloke actually who was at the Ramstein crash in '88, and he never went to a show again till he come to Riyadh in 2017.
Yeah. And I totally get that. I mean, yeah.
And he was at the show. He wasn't even as close. He was at the show and saw it. But yeah, it'd be so easy to just go, "I ain't doing that again."
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's what I do.
Yeah.
If I don't do
like
that,
photos and
yeah. It's what I've always done. I grew up as a kid. It's all I wanted to do. Just my childhood was July to July.
Yeah.
I got to July and it was that one day at RIAT that my mum could afford to do. We'd do that one day at RIAT, and I would just stare at the programmes, stare at planes, and
plan what
I'd find any reason to. I had 4 VHS tapes of the air tattoo.
Wow, showing your age now.
I think it was 93, 94, 95, and then there was a Mildenhall one.
Yeah.
And I just watched them on repeat over and over again. That was how I kept myself going as a kid, up till the next air show at Fairford. So then I
suppose some
grew
of
up
it is,
and could do lots of them.
Yeah, I suppose some of it is a bit like ripping off the Band-Aid, I guess, isn't it? It's like you've got to go straight back in it. But I mean, what must have been going through your mind when you went to that first? So what was the first one that you went to?
It was Cold War Jets Day.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend, we ended up going to Duxford in the naughty field.
Oh,
We didn't learn, apparently.
No.
It was, to be fair, it was sold out, and it was a last minute decision. My mate went, "Oh, should we go to Duxford?" Looking quite good. I went, "Yeah, all right then." And then you sat. The thing that unnerved me from then was anything coming out of a loop.
Right.
Especially because we had this great idea of being under everything again.
Yeah.
So I definitely didn't learn from it. But no, going back to Bruntingthorpe, it was, nothing bothered me until they had a 2-seat Hunter that was very, very similar colours, looked almost identical. And I just sort of sat there, pouring rain, so I just sat under the umbrella, and my mate said he just saw me sink into the chair.
Right.
So he sort of perked me up. I can't remember what he did now, it's so long ago, but he sort of perked me up and got me talking and sort of carried on.
I mean, talking is always a great solution to a lot of these things, isn't it? Sort of getting it out there, and I know it's something that guys are very bad at.
Yeah.
You know, if you like.
Yeah, we don't do talking.
No, which is why I
can remember being asked at the time, "Do you want any counselling or anything?" No, I don't need that. Why would I need that? I'm a man.
Yeah, and it's with that in mind that I appreciate the fact that we're sat here now. Without a doubt, that incident changed how virtually all air shows operate now,
especially in the UK.
Especially in the UK. In fact, actually, it's a bit of a shock sometimes if you do go and see an air show in the States, as I know you've done very recently. Of course, it's a very different beast again, isn't it?
Yeah, very different.
Yeah,
they changed a lot. It almost overnight, it virtually destroyed the air show scene in the UK. Classic jet wise, I mean, it's starting to vaguely recover a bit now, only based on the fact of a few items are allowed to display under certain circumstances, like no high aerobatics, it's virtually straight level passes, but there's no classic jets in the UK other than a few jet provosts. What else is there? I think there's a couple of Nats still flying, no Hunters. They were basically grounded from then on, and the only Hunters that fly in the UK now are owned by Hawker Hunter Aviation, who are MOD contractor.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, all the private Hunters went either just rotted away on the ground or sold and shipped out in containers.
Yeah. So we're here in Shoreham to attend the memorial. How are you feeling about that? I mean, what's your
I don't know. I think I'll let you know that one later.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be strange.
Yeah. Because this is not the first time that you've been back since.
I come back. It was about 3 or 4 years after. It was only because I was passing. I sort of stopped by where it all happened, sort of pulled in and sort of had a look. They hadn't even put the full memorial up at that point.
Yeah.
So it was maybe 3 years after.
Yeah. It must be a very strange feeling when you're standing at that same place.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit strange.
Yeah. I can imagine.
I think it will be later.
Yeah.
I think I'll be keeping my sunglasses on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well
One
done,
of the things
gents.
that stood out on the day when we were there were the number of people that were there.
Yeah.
And if you think about the 11 fatalities and 20 odd injuries, all of those people have got mothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, sons, etc. So it actually does affect an awful lot of people. And the way that they have done the memorial there, and the way that they've enabled people to just go there and reflect and think about what happened on the day. And this is, this happens every year. This is not just on the 10th anniversary, but this is a particularly poignant time, I would imagine, too. Yeah. As you saw there, the weather was tremendous as well. It was very nice indeed. And everybody was there. The local minister, the chief constable, the head of the fire and rescue service, the paramedics that were involved on the day.
And they go every year. Apparently, that wasn't just because it was the 10-year anniversary. They all go at some point. And the thing for me that was so particularly, because there were a couple of footballers, weren't there? Local lads who were going to football training, and they were in their car just going down the road, and they were involved in it, and the whole football team were there on the Friday as well. I mean, it was. I don't know about you, Nev, but I felt quite sort of humbled to have been there, really, and sort of a mod. And I've got to say a big thank you to Mr. Warner for talking to us there. And I'm gonna mention something actually. Mr. John has just prompted me actually. Do you remember Paul that Jonathan met?
Yes.
There now, they sort of lost contact. So when John, bless him, basically, I think, long story short, without wanting to go into too much detail, the back of his car was on fire, and basically Jonathan pulled him out of the car and got in touch with like wife and all that kind of thing, like giving him his phone so he could get in touch and stuff, and. Jonathan sort of recognised him because he was there at the memorial as well, and it was really quite a special moment when they sort of got back in touch with them. And what was so lovely is especially Paul's wife, when she realised that it was Jonathan that was there and all that kind of thing. I mean, it was big hugs and all that kind of thing. I mean, it was just mind-blowing, really, to sort of have been there. And I mean, everybody was there who should have been. I mean, it was just I'm a bit lost for words, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, talking to Paul, I mean, you don't unless you were there on the day, as Jonathan was, you don't really fully appreciate what had happened. And Paul mentioned that he could barely go out of the house for nearly a year. After this had happened, because it had affected him so badly. Because he was obviously in the car when this happened as well. He had a real problem getting back into a car. And even now, he was saying that when he hears a loud bang or a crash behind him, it really does spook him. So these things have terribly long-lasting effects, don't they? Yeah. And but it was very nice of Paul and his wife to talk to us. We felt we didn't want to interview them, but we just wanted to have a chat with them off camera, and they were very generous with talking about their experiences as well. It was so nice that Paul and Jonathan had met up again after all this time as well.
Indeed.
And Matt, that was excellent job of interviewing there, and Nev on the camera work, brilliant.
Thank you. Very kind.
And thank you to Jonathan as well, because that can't have been an easy conversation to have. And
absolutely,
as I think Nev and I, we both said, the takeaway for me from that was, bearing in mind this was 10 years ago, obviously, when we were doing that interview. So we were doing that in the morning before we then headed off to the memorial, and it was the clarity. Which I think a lot of that is credit to Jonathan as well, but it was the level of detail and clarity after 10 years that I think was the biggest takeaway for me, and evidence, if ever it was needed, that something like that never leaves you.
No, you've done a good job. and I know for sure there's a lot of people in the chat room who definitely appreciated the work that you guys put into that. So well done. Right, time to move on to Nev's favourite part of the show. Hey, Nev.
I like it so much now. I've even put some stories in myself, and I'm going to read the first story.
Wow.
You need to go back to work, mate. If this is where it's got to now, you need to go back to work.
It's a worrying state of affairs, isn't it?
Lost up bogeys 135, 50 Angels 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 bogeys.
Well, the first story is on ASDnews.com, and it says that SAAB has received a Gripen E and F order for Thailand. SAAB has today signed a contract with the Swedish Defence Materiel Administration, FMV, and received an order for 4 Gripen E and F fighter aircraft from FMV for the Kingdom of Thailand. The order value is approximately 5.3 billion Swedish crowns, and deliveries will take place between 2025 and 2030. The contract between SAAB and FMV includes 3 Gripen E and 1 Gripen F aircraft, as well as associated equipment, support and training. SAAB has also signed a contract with the Royal Thai Air Force to deliver a long-term offset package to Thailand as part of the fighter acquisition plan. This will include significant transfer of defence technology and industrial cooperation with Thailand, together with new investments across many sectors of the national economy. We welcome Thailand as the latest customer for Gripen E and F. Thailand is already a well-established Gripen user and familiar with the strengths that Gripen brings to the Royal Thai Armed Air Forces. Thailand has chosen the most modern fighter on the market with which to build its next generation of strategic independent capabilities, says Mikael Johansson, President and CEO of SAAB. The Royal Thai Air Force currently operates 1 squadron of Gripen C/D multi-role fighters. Once in operation, the new Gripen E and F fighters will operate alongside Thailand's existing Gripen fighter force. And as someone that used to work in the same city as the SAAB military aircraft factory in Linköping, which is sort of halfway between Stockholm and Gothenburg, when these guys and girls were out demonstrating the aircraft, it was extremely loud across the city, I can tell you. But it's a big employer in the middle of Sweden, and obviously parts around the supply chain as well. So that's good news for SAAB.
Especially if you've got a car.
Well, yes. They're not making
vehicles were always good.
They were, but they're not making them anymore.
No,
that's the end of it. Yeah.
If these things are built like the cars, you can crash one on the ground. It'll just have a little dent in the side of it.
Yeah.
Well, quite. Yeah, absolutely.
True. Andy, looks like you've got the next story.
Yes, this is from the defencepost.com, and it's the USAF picks Red 6 AR system to train F-16 pilots against virtual enemies. The US Air Force has contracted Red 6, an augmented reality solutions company headquartered in Florida, to supply its AR system for the F-16 Fighting Falcon. With the integration of the company's ATARS, which is Airborne Tactical Augmented Reality System, into the fighter aircraft, an F-16 pilot can train against intelligent, manoeuvring virtual adversaries in real time during live flight. It will be initially integrated into 2 F-16s over the next 12 to 18 months. And Red 6 CEO and former British Royal Air Force pilot Daniel Robinson informed Breaking Defence. As the F-16 is widely used among the US and Allies, Red 6 selection to integrate ATARS into the fighter jet marks a real big milestone as its first operational combat jet candidate, unlocking potential towards a future program. This is more than a contract. It's validation of our vision and a signal that the future of air combat training has arrived, said Robinson. Apart from the Fighting Falcon, the ATARS has been integrated with the USAF's MC-130 aircraft, the UK Royal Air Force's Hawk T2 and the T-38 Talon trainer platform. Red 6 has also entered into various ATARS integration partnerships, including Boeing in 2022 and Lockheed Martin and Korean Aerospace Industries in 2023. The ATARs consist of the helmet-mounted optical system, cabling and computer within the aircraft, designed to work across various communication networks, platforms and helmets, and features low latency. It also offers high-resolution, full-colour synthetic entities so virtual enemies and threat objects, as well as friendly assets, feel immersive and realistic to pilots during training. Additionally, the system generates structured data sets to help assist pilot readiness. These features enable it to support the USAF's next-generation collaborative combat aircraft program, which aims to deploy loyal wingman drones alongside crewed fighter jets. Robinson further highlighted that ATARs can help address the high cost and limited scalability of training with friendly pilots as red teams, in addition to the inadequacy of advanced simulators to fully emulate pilots' cognitive loads in real cockpits. I think this is brilliant. So a proper AR solution without the massive cost of flying all of those extra aircraft around for training. Awesome.
Now, do you think that we're going to see more of this in the commercial world as well?
I really do. I have a headset. Actually, it's here because I take it everywhere now. The Meta Quest here. I got it for my birthday. And having that in sort of pass-through augmented mode, I was shocked at how good it is. And I've already been talking at work about how can we start integrating this sort of stuff into our training, because you could do so much with it. It's brilliant.
And with simulator time at a premium, if you can do things that you don't need the full motion sim for, or you're training some specific things, that's a great way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, think about we're trying now to do with fire training. In the past used to be basically like putting out a barbecue in a porta cabin. Not realistic, not real. We've tried to move away from that now, and with augmented reality, you could have these headsets on and set up an actual fire in a flight deck in a fixed base sim.
Oh wow!
Which is significantly less cost to operate than full motion, and you could have people fighting the fire with these headsets on, so they get the full immersion of it. So there's so many possibilities with it. It's really exciting.
Yeah, that full immersive experience is incredible, isn't it? In these VR headsets, all these AR headsets. Yeah,
it is. And I'd say to anybody, get one of these headsets. They come down in price now. That they're awesome fun. They're great.
Right.
Let's make a note of that.
Next week's show will be fully AI'd.
Oh,
yeah. Try and edit that one. I have to look into that. So what you're saying, basically, Andy, is I can have the full immersive experience of the sim from the other week, but at a fraction of the cost and at home.
Well,
potentially.
Yeah. You'd still need the sim there to have the tactile and everything around, but this can add extra stuff to it. Yeah,
that'd be so good, so good. Right. Another great part of the show coming up next, because it's another update from our roving reporter, isn't it, Nev?
Yes, well, we had so much fantastic feedback from Al's efforts on the military items from Oshkosh a few weeks ago. We thought we would play out another one of his interviews, and this is another good one. This is all about the Samaritan's Purse DC-8 at Oshkosh this year. Matt's got some pictures which he can hopefully show us whilst I'm speaking over this bit. Well, Samaritan's Purse is an evangelical Christian humanitarian aid organisation that provides aid to people in physical need as a key part of its Christian missionary work. Incredibly, they operate a McDonnell Douglas DC-8 that serves as a Christian humanitarian aid support plane and is used to airlift cargo and personnel to disaster sites worldwide. It's capable of carrying 10 pallets of supplies and up to 32 passengers. Well, this unique long-range jet is the last American-registered DC-8 and the last DC-8 combi aircraft still flying, first deployed by the organisation in 2016 and utilised for missions to various locations for humanitarian relief and emergency field hospitals. Well, Captain Al spoke to Jim Vetchery of Samaritan's Purse about the operation and the importance that it's played for the organisation.
So here we are then back at Oshkosh, and I've managed to speak to Vetch here. We've managed to drag him away from a very, very busy day. Vetch, tell me what your job is and what role you have.
Sure. So I work for Samaritan's Purse. I'm the director of the Mission Aviation Services in Greensboro, where we have our heavy airlift operation.
Okay, now for some of our viewers, they will be unfamiliar with the organisation. So could you just tell me a little bit about the organisation and what it does? Is it purely US domestic operation?
No, we're actually international. So we are a Christian, evangelical, non-denominational organization, and our job is really to meet people in their time of need, whether that's because of a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, and go there and provide hope and healing in Jesus' name.
Okay, fantastic. And that's all over the world?
All over the world, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, ordinarily, we would be stood next to one of your aircraft.
We would.
This isn't one of yours, I believe.
This is not one of our aircraft.
So could you take me, just give me a few moments then to explain where your airplane is?
Sure.
Or where it's going? Or
Absolutely. So, yes, if you were here yesterday, you would have been here among about 2,173 guests who visited us yesterday. Approximately. And we had our mighty DC-8 here, which is a 1968 vintage aircraft that was actually born on Christmas Eve in 1968. And what's real neat about it is we actually got called into mission. Okay. So we are departing from Greensboro on Saturday to go overseas to take special cargo for emergency relief purposes. And that's exactly what we do.
Okay, no, I appreciate that in many aspects of life, some things are confidentially. You're allowed to say where it's going to as its final destination?
I wish I could, but unfortunately because of sensitivities we can't reveal the location.
Okay, that's perfectly understandable, and I'm sure that some of your operations take you into what might be described as fairly hostile environments in war-torn areas, is that correct?
That would be the case. In fact, last year we took an emergency field hospital to Sudan, a country that's been in civil war for years. So
yes.
Absolutely. In fact, our President and CEO, Franklin Graham, would say we run to things that other people are running away from because that's where people are in need, and that's where we go.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about the DC-8 itself, because there aren't too many of them left around?
Absolutely, I would love to tell you about it. So it is the last U.S. registered DC-8 that's flying in the world today. As I mentioned, it was born in 1968. We purchased it in 2015. We actually resurrected it from a boneyard in Roswell, New Mexico, brought it back to life, and it's flown for 10 years. This was his 203rd mission. On Saturday, it'll be number 204.
Okay, now that is quite an undertaking, so bringing anything back from the boneyard is not exactly a straightforward process and potentially fraught with complications, not least spare parts, etc.
Yes, sir.
So when you deploy the aircraft, does it go with a full team of mechanics and technicians to allow you to be able to continue to operate it?
Absolutely. Every time we fly, we take one typical aircraft mechanic with us. Sometimes we would take two, depending on where we're going, but typically it's just one, along with our pilot, co-pilot. And this aircraft is unique in that we still have a flight engineer in it.
Okay.
So one of the very few aircraft that still flies with a flight engineer. And then we also take our load master. And the really unique thing about our aircraft is it's a combi. So we can take cargo and passengers on the same aircraft. When we take passengers, we'll also take flight attendants with us.
Okay, all right. That's. I mean, I must be honest. I hadn't realised about the combi element because I naturally assumed it was just a pure freighter. So, continuing to keep a airworthy DC-8 is a challenge. So, why the DC-8 at that particular time? What was the driving force behind kind of like, there's a DC-8 in a boneyard, we'll have that and we'll get that flying again? Well, there must have been easier options.
Well, it was very visionary by Franklin Graham. I wasn't here at the time. I've only been here for about 2 years, but it ushered in heavy airlift for us. Aviation has been a big part of Samaritan's Purse since 1975, so we're in our 50th year of aviation. We actually have 28 different aviation assets, but this was a whole different concept. So the idea that we could take cargo and passengers at the same time was extremely appealing. For example, we take emergency field hospitals. So we can take that emergency field hospital and the doctors and nurses that are going to work in it and fly them on the same aircraft and get them there quickly so that they can start helping those in need.
Okay, that's fantastic. I really appreciate your time today. If our viewers want to find out a little bit more about the organisation, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a website that they can look at?
Well, of course, every organisation has a website, right? So we're very easy. SamaritansPurse.org. You can click on the top where it says Get Involved. We would love your prayer support if you're able to volunteer and any type of support that you'd like to provide. We are 100% donor-based, and we appreciate all the support and teamwork that we get to help the organization do what it's able to do through God's plan.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you ever so much for your time. I know today's probably been busier than was originally anticipated, so thank you for squeezing us in. We really appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure, Al. Thank you.
There we go. Wow.
That is incredible, isn't it? Now, Carlos, you were saying that you've got a bit of history on this aircraft. You were looking some things up.
Yeah, as he said, last registered flying DC-8. This one, obviously having the CFM 56 engines on as opposed to the usual engines that the DC-8 was born with many years ago. But Andy, you were saying this is a Super. The Super 8, isn't it? Or the Super
when it was re-engined, it's DC-8-72 F, I think.
That's it, yeah, 72 CF, yeah.
Yeah, converted freighter, yeah. Sort of a very rare airframe, obviously, with engines that I'm very familiar with.
There's not a huge amount of back history on the aircraft. When you normally you can look on the registry, and it'll give you like an ownership of who owned the aircraft from when it was first born as such. But there's not a huge amount online about this particular registration of aircraft. Whether they've changed the registration or not, I don't know. But yeah, never flew on a DC-8, but I think it was a bit before my years of starting to fly. Captain Cruz says first saw this DC-8 Paris Charles de Gaulle back in 1993 when it was with the République Française, or the French Air Force. Oh, okay. Very interesting. There we go. Yeah. Very interesting, and thank you again to Captain Al as well for putting these all together for us. Have we got any more lined up?
Oh yeah, I've got a couple more. I mean, he is now the official roving reporter of Plain Talking UK podcast. So,
I personally can't wait for another instalment in his take on military.
Yes. Well, there'll be more to come. We'll try and feature one next week on the show as well.
Good. Now, it's a busy weekend this weekend for P2UK. We're having our kind of annual meetup, aren't we, Nev, over at Beccles, and we've got some VIPs coming, haven't we?
We certainly have, and both of them have been in the chat room tonight. John Jester is coming over from Amsterdam to London Norwich Airport, just across the water there. But Tanya is coming much further from the east coast of the United States to come and see us. So Tanya will be there as well on the Saturday. I think she's going back on the Sunday, so a real quick visit, but we appreciate it so much, Tanya. Thank you very much indeed for agreeing to come all that way for such a short period of time. We're very much looking forward to seeing you and John. Unfortunately, Jenny can no longer make it. She's got some family commitments that she has to deal with now, but I'm sure we will catch up on another occasion. But we'll be there at Beccles Aerodrome from about midday, something like that. We'll have some food and some aviation chat. I'll be bringing the camera and the mic with the muff, so we'll do some interviews as well whilst we're there. Fingers crossed for the weather. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be doing. Could be a bit variable, but we'll have to see what we get. But looking forward to seeing as many people there as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be dry, Nev. That's the important thing. It might just be a bit cloudy. So, but yeah, there's a few people who we just waiting on hearing as well, who hopefully will be coming as well on Saturday. But yeah, it's going to be a good get together, a good chat as well. Fingers crossed, Al will be able to make it over as well in the PA 28, weather permitting, though, very much so for that. I think, Nev, what we were saying,
yes,
because the weather forecast for up where Al is slightly different on Saturday as to what it is here. So
Tanya's saying I'm a little insane, but can't wait. She's saying,
"Oh,
yeah,
bless.
I think we'd agree with that, definitely."
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, no, it's going to be a good day. A good day anyway. We'll have some good aviation chat as well. So yeah, you can't pinch a can't pinch a 150, Andy, and come down and see us?
Unfortunately, as you know, my diary is insane at the best of times. It just doesn't work this weekend, unfortunately. I will miss you all.
This is where we need a transporter from Star Trek.
And that will put me out of work, so no thanks.
Okay.
Quite right. You tell him, Andy.
Damn. All right then. For fast food, or just for fast food, that'd make it better. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That'll make no difference.
There we go.
Yeah, there'll be no Uber drivers out of work or anything.
No. Right, we're going to start to wrap things up. Nev, where can the listeners find out more about us online?
Yeah, have a look at the social media channels on Facebook, X and Instagram. Just search for Plain Talking UK. You can email the show, podcast@plaintalkinguk.com, and the website is also plaintalkinguk.com. Our WhatsApp number for sending us pictures and comments about the show as well, +44 7446 975 214. That's +44 7446 975 214. Don't forget you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications when we go live. So just click the thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And you can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room, as many people have done tonight. Just go to youtube.com and search for Plain Talking UK. As you probably realise, it does cost us some money to run the whole show, literally. So if you're feeling you're able to help us at all anyway, please have a look at our website for the Patreon and PayPal donators areas. That really does make a big difference to us by offsetting some of the media hosting and website hosting costs as well. Just go to the YouTube channel or to the plaintalkinguk.com website.
Yes, and big thanks to all our Patreon donators as well, who help us, as Nev said, bringing the show each week. Thank you very much indeed. So, quick round robin then. What's everyone up to next week? We'll start with Andy.
I'm actually home next Wednesday as well. So, yes, I should be on the show. I've just checked my diary there. There's nothing in it. What am I doing? I'm down here for the next couple of days, then home for the weekend. And it's just tidying up lots of bits, boring admin stuff at work and regulatory compliance and all that sort of stuff. So not really that exciting a week, to be honest. Gets more exciting the week after.
Excellent. Did you say you're with us next week, Andy?
I will caveat that with I should be here, yes.
We'll pencil it in.
Pencil it in, yeah.
Nev, any exciting things going on in the world, apart from this weekend, obviously, the world of Nev?
Well, yes, we're going to have a very exciting 10 days or so. We're off to Gran Canaria on Tuesday morning from Gatwick on the pretend BA service, the Euroflyer to Gran Canaria on a 320 or maybe 321 if we're lucky. Bit of an early flight, 7:25 in the morning, so no lager or, cider for me. So we're going down the night before, staying at the very hotel where Andy is staying at the moment as well, actually. So it'll be nice. And of course, it's always quite nice in Gran Canaria this time of year. It's not too hot. 25, 26 degrees will do us nicely, actually. So I shan't be on the show for the next fortnight, I'm afraid, gentlemen. A tragedy, I realise, but I shall be providing you with content, clocks, and all the rest of it. So don't you worry about that.
Excellent, Nev. And Matt, anything exciting going on next week, or just work? Probably.
I think just work. I think yeah, not really a lot going on at all, really. Work and a bit of like radio-y sort of stuff sandwiched to either end, really, bookending the day.
Excellent. And the same for me, a bit of this and a bit of that. Yeah, interesting times for me at the moment, as the team knows. But yes, I'm hoping that the weather will be nice next week because Gemma's tasked me with a job of doing some painting on the new house outside, which is one of my favourite jobs, painting. I can't tell you how much I love painting.
I particularly enjoy watching it dry.
Yeah. Anyway. moving on from that swiftly. Going to say a big thanks to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room this evening. All the family in there, great to see you in there. And thanks to everyone who downloads the show as well as an audio podcast. Thank you to you, one and all, for downloading the show each week. That's very, very good of you. Now, we were talking, just before we leave, we were talking earlier about the DC-8, weren't we, guys? And well, Matt's going to pop a picture up for you, and we'll just have a look at this DC-8 here. What are our thoughts on this DC-8?
That's beautiful.
Is it?
Look at the smoke out of the back of that.
Yes.
Is that the air conditioning vents from the smoking section?
I think that will be, yes, absolutely. I think
it looks more like an A380 or an A350 on a go-around, actually, because I've noticed that both of those engines are a little bit smoky when you give it toga power, if on an approach like that. But actually, to be fair, not quite as bad as that.
I mean, for the aircraft behind, that's a low-vis departure now.
Quite.
Oh dear, how different things were back in those times, sort of the 60s. I would say that was probably around about the 1960s.
There are some 50s, trucks around 60s. Here that give out similar smoke trails, like with the various diesels. I mean, I don't think some things have changed at all in this part of the world.
God, can you imagine the the environmental kind of things now? If those aircraft were still flying out of London Heathrow on a daily basis.
They'd have to fill it up with AdBlue, wouldn't they?
Well, they would very much.
Yes. Yeah.
Quite.
Oh dear. Right, that's it for episode 566 of the show. Thanks to all the team, as always, for great work on the show tonight, and especially for that incredible video that we showed earlier. Don't forget, we'll be back next Wednesday for episode 567. So, on behalf of the team, thank you very much. Take care. Have a great rest of the week. And from me in the home studio, from Nev in his glorious studio there, and from Andy in his hotel studio, and from Matt in the P2K Master Suite studios, we'll see you all next week. Say goodbye, Andy.
Bye-bye.
And there we are, in the can. Oh, they all froze. Oh no, I thought you'd all frozen.
No, we're just.
I thought, oh no, typical. Right at the very.
Had you go in there, didn't we?
Yeah. Did you plan that?
That was perfectly timed by all of us.
Yes. Absolutely. It's the first time any form of production meeting has ever taken place on BT UK, and it was to prank me. Brilliant.
A production what? What's one of them?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. We had one in Shoreham.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Genuinely, thank you very much for the feedback on that, by the way. Nev, thank you so much for your work on that edit, because I think that helped to make it super special. And of course, a huge thank you to the wonderful Mr. Warner, who very kindly spoke about a very difficult subject, I have no doubt, with such clarity. Greatly appreciated from us all here at PT UK.
No, it's really nice, Jonathan. Thank you for doing that. And as Matt says, considering it was 10 years ago, you remembered it like it was yesterday. And it was just a nice chat between two fellas on a park bench, wasn't it? So that's what made it so nice, I think. So thank you very much indeed.
Just having to headphone up. There we go.
How are you?
Yes.
Well, we're done now, so...
I know.
We're finished.
Tanya says, cheers all. See some of you on Saturday. I know.
Absolutely. Crazy.
And Tanya, of course, Tanya's flying in the 350 as well. She's coming over on the 350, yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. The last time, I can't remember the year, and I have no doubt that Tanya will, but the last time I saw Tanya was actually in New York.
Oh.
Yeah, and we went to the famous restaurant in... was it Cat's Diner, was it? Where a certain famous scene was filmed from When Harry Met Sally?
That's the one.
Yeah, and we went there and had a pastrami sandwich. Highly recommended by Micah, of course.
Yeah.
I think the last time that I saw Tanya or met Tanya, I think it was it in the US? Was it Pittsburgh?
Or might have been.
Or was it the 300th show?
300th?
Or might have been the 300th, yeah.
Might have been the 300th, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Blimey.
We'll work it
Old
all out
age,
later,
my
shall
memory.
we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll have time to discuss it at great length on Saturday.
Yes, I know. Over a beverage and something nice to eat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I am genuinely sad I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, going to be good, I think. Going to be good.
Well, the food at that place is nice, isn't it? That's the main thing. So, yeah, looking forward to that very much.
Richard Flagg says hello, by the way.
Oh, hello. Is he coming? Have you asked him?
Yeah, he can't make it, unfortunately. But he has just sent me a WhatsApp just to say, can you say hello to the team for me? So
okay, will do. I think as long as I think the plan is, Nev, I don't know about you, is to make the that video available sort of outside of the podcast as well, I think.
Yes, on the socials, yes. So I was going to upload it to the various platforms.
Indeed.
Definitely, yeah.
Indeed. Excellent. All right.
Right.
We
better
absolutely.
let the listeners go and get back to their Wednesday evening. Thanks again to everyone who's tuned in tonight on the show and all the YouTube viewers, all the family in there as always this week. Thank you very much. And to those of you coming to Beccles on Saturday, look forward to seeing you there. And it's going to be a nice, lovely afternoon. And I shall make sure the sun comes out. I shall be.
Oh.
Yes.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I know. So that's it. Last words. Obviously, Nev, you're off. So last words from you to say goodbye to everyone.
Yes, thanks very much indeed for joining us tonight, and thank you for your very nice compliments and words in the chat room about the interview we did with Jonathan. That's fantastic. I'm away for a couple of weeks, as I mentioned, but you'll be in the capable hands of the rest of the team in the meantime. So I hope you have a nice weekend, and the following week as well. Take care. Bye for now.